Good day, my friends, wherever you may be in the world today. Alan Clements here. In this series of talks titled Deadman Walking, Freedom Never Dies, 11 Life Lessons in Facing Death. Today is the fourth in the series. It is titled Liberate Your Freedom, Leave the Fear Behind. Liberate our freedom and leave the fear behind. The first lesson, bring God, your direct personal experience of the most unrestrained, unpostponed, attributes of the sacred, that quality of non-postponed immediacy, direct felt oxygenation of the holy, a life in a living experience of prayer, bringing God into our room in facing death. It points to the radicalization of faith and trust and conviction for me. Lesson 2, a phrase by my friend Aung San Suu Kyi, grace under pressure, describing the quality of courage. Courage renewed repeatedly in the face of harsh and often unremitting pressure. Loss, the anticipation of suffering, disease, illness, facing terminal conditions, eco-grief, climate collapse. There's so many ways in which we are compelled, forced to empower the meaning of our lives through the very rarefied state of mind called grace under pressure. Courage renewed repeatedly. How well do we renew that quality of being in the face of complexity? The third lesson, the quality of consciousness is everything. Mortality, discontinuity, aging, disease, death, to state the ever-present, self-evident, are truly baked into the dynamic of being, of living. The quality of the life-mind stream, the continuum called conventionally by your name, in the unique configuration of your life circumstance, generically calling it the quality of consciousness, that invisibility, that atmosphere, that environment of the mind, a life of the heart, a life of consciousness, the study of consciousness, Dhamma or Dharma, for the purpose of overcoming greed, confusion, ignorance, certainly the mitigation of our collusion with violence towards self, other, non-humans, and the environment itself. And the beautification of this mind stream of consciousness, the artistry, the aesthetics, our own unique style of creatively engaging that invisibility with heart, with purpose, with meaning, with poise, with patience. the embrace of the flaw, the foibles, the weaknesses, and that too, include and that too. I want to learn to love you, all of you, as you are, as I feel you, as I know you, as you die, as there are no two ways to live, utter uniqueness, uncensored originality. There are no two ways to die. There is no right way to die. There is only the right way to be in the conscious, dignified quality of your own life stream on the terms of your chosen integrity, right? No two of us will die the same. No two of us will kiss the same. No two of us will love the same. No two of us will hold hands the same. No two of us will walk or meditate the same. No two of us will do anything really ultimately the same. We are this unthinkable, unique configuration of infinity made real in these separate little phantasms called you and me. We interrelate in this uniqueness and conformity, the absence of wonderment, dictatorship, totalitarianism, the persecution of novelty. Why do men and women at times want to denigrate the uniqueness of life through the conformity, through the obedience, the forced violence to obey? So we have to learn how to disobey this conformity, this instinct to belong to the cult of normalcy, which is often just a euphemism for tyranny, subjugation. As I die, I refuse to subjugate myself, right? Live in the freedom, liberate the freedom of your own heart, in-breath, out-breath. What does it mean to take liberation as vocation? Isn't that the Dharma life? Isn't that the Buddhist life? Isn't that the meditative life, the yogi life? Liberating freedom. Rather than overcoming shadow and darkness and trauma and anxiety, liberate, open the flower, give your own mind, your water, your light, your nurturing qualities, your soil, your strength. Let your roots go down deep into the darkness of the unknown and keep blossoming in all directions simultaneously, no in, no out. Bhavana, the beautification of the life stream. Liberate, keep on liberating, keep on pushing, as Nick Cave says, pushing the sky away. So welcome to today, a Sunday here, speaking from my heart to your heart. Thank you for being in my life. I was thinking yesterday as I was walking along the beach and just moving through those sand molecules and that air, and there was this magnificent rainbow, and there was rain, and there were waves, and there were sounds, and there was all kinds of things here, there, everywhere, and life was going on. And you could see in that microscopic moment of life how infinitesimally small it was, yet magnificent. And there I was. What would I speak about today? I was thinking, what would I speak about today? What do you feel right now? The immediacy of life. How easy it is to postpone and to project at this moment now. The immediacy of the kiss with your own holiness. Nobody can give you the freedom that you can only give yourself. There is a freedom. Remember that. There is a freedom. We've talked about it now for the 4 times this sharing has taken place. There is a freedom that only you can give yourself, Alan. There is a freedom. There is a freedom. There is a freedom. What is the feeling of freedom? What is the oxygen of freedom? Keep liberating your freedom, learning how to nurture the wide open sky of your holy heart. I am not my body alone. What a point of reference for me today. I am not an aneurysm. I am not a leaky aortic valve. I am not a body in decay alone. Do not place your trust, your worth, your reverence where dust and rust and disease doth corrupt. Can we take that in and really breathe into this transformational continuum of form into the formlessness, the rebirthing process? Keep liberating freedom, keep pushing the sky away. No two of us will live or kiss or die in the same way. Be the uniqueness that you are in configuration to your unique experience of the sacred, the nuministic, the holy, your God in the room of your own mind going into the eternal. Whatever that may be, can we live? Isn't that the demand of death? Ha-ha! Were you surprised by something? I was not surprised. I was shocked. Why would I be shocked? Because all of a sudden it's in 4D, in a mirror, in your own head and eyes. You will die, you will die, you will die. Is there any benefit in knowing that? Not really, because if you believe in some kind of loss, you will suffer. By oneself alone is one defiled, by oneself alone, to quote something attributed to the Buddha, by oneself alone is one liberated. Touch and know. This is what I was thinking. Touch and know. Easy go, my love of freedom flows. Touch and know, easy go, my love of freedom flows. This is a mantra that I came up with yesterday. I was thinking if there was something so simple in the soul essence to understand liberating freedom, do not let fear take hold. Liberate your freedom, do not let fear take hold. Touch and know, coming right back to the quality of consciousness, the life-mind stream. We inhabit it with our Dhamma, our holiness, our mindful intelligence, our spiritual wisdom. Touch and know the qualities of consciousness as they appear to us inside at the confluence of the senses. Touch and know. Know your own experience. Know its roots. Know its branches, know what nurtures it. Touch and know. What is this? This is love. I have a choice. Inhabit choice, right? I don't know. I've never had it emphasized enough to me. I think this is one of the reasons, probably a core reason why I entered the meditative life in the monastery. And concepts in college became somewhat insipid, if not vapid, because there wasn't that religion, if you will, the radiance of religion, which is the immediacy of holy experience, the directness and the immediacy of intimacy rather than the anticipation of love. The idea of freedom rather than the direct experience of being liberating in this moment now. So this direct experience, touch and know the state of mind that you're in, was something I would hear often in the monastery. Know your thought for the type of thought that it is. Therein lies, you can understand the function, the characteristic, the meaning of the thought, the mind state, the perception, and you can either inhabit it wisely, liberate it, beautify it, or you can learn to let go. If there's anything that I'm learning right now, quite frankly, that supersedes everything, is to let go as quickly and as immediately as possible. Dissonance, noise, conditioned irritations, complexities that I'm identifying with as problematic. You could call them natural, you can call them what you will to make them something familiar and ordinary. But there's a part of me, a very large part of me, a very deep and intimate part of me that refuses touch and know, easy go. My love of freedom flows. Whatever it may be, whatever you need to do, I created this mantra. Create your own mantra or use this one if you wish. TKEGMLOFF. Touch and know. Know it for what it is. Oh, you're going to die. You're going to have a tragic death. You're going to suffer. Touch and know. Guess what? Easy go. My love of freedom flows more than the fear that you are trying to invite me to inhabit. Use your liberty. I've said this story a lot, and I'll say it again. Back in the day when I met Aung San Suu Kyi, she had just been released from 6 years of house arrest. And she came from her home, and she took a stool and stood over her front gate in Rangoon, and people saw that she was there. They began to gather on weekends at the same time that she would walk and step on her stool. And slowly over time, 4, 5, 10, 15 people risked the fear of incarceration, imprisonment, and she began to talk. And I was there. I had come. I knew that she was released, and I came. And later on, when we met, when we began to proceed in our conversations to do a book that she titled The Voice of Hope, the first question that I asked her was, what is the meaning of the phrase that you so often use to describe your country's struggle for freedom? What is the meaning, in essence, of a revolution of the spirit? And she said, paraphrasing her, as you could see on the street, the people that gathered risked losing their home, risked losing their jobs, risked imprisonment, risked torture, in some cases risked death and disappearance. High stakes solidarity, to stand in harmony together and to listen and to evolve the meaning of democracy and freedom in action. We encourage them. Do what you do to be in freedom now, not do what you're doing to bring freedom tomorrow. The immediacy of learning the high art. Her phrase, liberate. Use your freedom. Use your liberty to liberate your own freedom. Keep on pushing the fear away. Keep on pushing the sky away. The immediacy of that. And she said, the essence of a revolution of the spirit is courage. Courage. Courage renewed repeatedly under the face of harsh, unremitting pressure of fear, the pressure of fear, the pressure of torture. I can't even imagine. The pressure of death, the pressure of disappearance, the pressure of losing your home because you believe so strongly in the fidelity of something. This diagnosis has forced me, compelled me to actualize and to feel deeply into my belief systems. What am I on about? Prioritizing the fabric of my identity, the purpose, the meaning of my identity, a talk with my soul. And she's saying courage is the essence of a revolution of the spirit. The courage to care about things larger than your own self-interest. And let me point out that right there, we encourage people to understand the meaning of courage, not to be the absence of fear. It's so rad. but to include fear in your courage. Touch and know, easy go, my love of freedom flows. And right there she says, we've learned the art from our teacher, Seda U Pandita, which he introduced us to, the word quiver. Quiver with freedom. Because it's so unthinkably uncomfortable to be naked without the virtue of strong wisdom to fortify the freedom. We must learn the fine, self-respectful, compassionate quality of learning how to quiver. Vulnerability, sadness, despair. Beautify these qualities of mind is what I'm doing with myself. I make nothing that I feel at this point wrong. I'm over wrong. I'm embodying right, learning how to quiver in my growth, in my freedom, in my love. Use your liberty. Let me come to the end today. So many things that we could talk about in liberating freedom. Touch and know, easy go, my love of freedom flows. Creating a sanctuary in my life is very important. Anointing my humble abode and spaces with the attributes of inspiration, of sensitivity. No detail is too much or too nuanced to touch, even within this temporariness along this flow of a life. The foods that you buy and you make, and the way you eat and how you drink, the way you wash and bathe, and tend to your body and your mind, the way you sit in meditation, the unhurriedness of moving into the future as if somehow discontinuity and death was preferable than walking into the future in the most upright way, the most simple way, taking the future out of existence as much as humanly possible. Remembering the fabric of our lives to be impermanent. When I bathe in the wisdom waters of anicca, of impermanence, I feel free to smile rather than fear. To know that everything that ever was and ever will be is a conditioned experience within this evanescent, invisible, physical field of impermanence. I was thinking today of how one of the more discernible elements of my own circumstances with this diagnosis is how the concept of rebirthing, if you will, is felt as a kind of very subtle psychic visual cinematic sculpting, if you will. Like I've seen my body sometimes moving from where it is and moving through time and space and formlessness into a new dimension where this body is now dissolving like a dream rainbow sculpture on the sky of life, and it fades into a new form, into a new dimension with a new set of conditions, with new people, all of whom I have known from time immemorial. They have different names and they look at me and go, welcome home, welcome back. Nice to have you among us. We've missed you in these final seconds called your human life. And here you are again in this rebirthing process. And all of a sudden, just as my memory I lose contact with from yesterday, a month, 2, 5, 20, 100. What's on the other side of my birth, my past life? The same with my new birth. And this life fades. And the next life, it fades. And how well will I inhabit this continuum? The purpose of infusing Dharma within the continuum, the quality of consciousness, bringing God into the room, grace under pressure, liberating our freedom, leaving the fear behind, touch and know, easy go, my love of freedom flows, stick nowhere. And when you do learn the fine art, as Seda U Pandita encouraged Aung San Suu Kyi and myself, learn the beauty of vulnerability, the quivering quality of consciousness, right? We can never have the ideal ultimately met, but we can learn to inhabit these flaws, these vulnerabilities, these sensitivities. How many times in a day did I find myself spontaneously crying? I don't consider it a good thing or a bad thing, but I pause and I wonder why, and I feel this fragility and this strength to be alive, and I touch my hands in yoga and even right now, and I go, oh my God, this is so unthinkably real. It bleeds, it hurts. The suffering is so real for some people, the anguish that they cannot remove, the pain from their biology, and the mental pain is 100, 1,000 times more severe than physical pain. And isn't that where the Dharma needs to go? Touch and know. That is acute suffering. Touch and know it to be what it is. Easy go, although my body is in pain. I refuse to participate in that pain. Quiver with compassion, self-love, with patience and determination. And when you're feeling it, right, my love of freedom is a higher priority. Let it flow through you, just like when I walk on the beach. I cannot believe sometimes that the wind and the air and the light and my biology and my thoughts and my mind, it's like I'm living and dying every minute, right? And you go, oh my God, all you've got is this continuum. And there is no right way to feel, love, touch, make love. No wrong way to die. If there's ever a dance that demands your soul, it's in the face of the angel of mortality and loss and separation and higher values and solidarity with these values, right? That confluence, that makes someone holy. What do you do there under crises, under pressure? Only you can free your mind. By oneself alone is one's mind defiled. I was trained in elementary school and in high school with my great comrades in athletics and in politics and coaches. Those who are good are tenacious. You're not born with these strengths. Yes, there are the rare individuals who have natural talents, but repetitive, determined, nuanced application. Repetitive, nuanced, determined application of the qualities of consciousness that liberate your freedom, quivering in solidarity with taking risks for the greater good. Sometimes the pain that you feel is because you personalize it. The courage to care about things larger than your own self-interest can take you out of your despair. Compassion as a way to invest in one's love of freedom and letting it flow into conscience and compassion and caring. Some of the things to remember that I bring into my own heart. Bring God into the room. Call it what you will. The holy, the nuministic, the Dharma. grace under pressure, a spine-chilling romance with your purity. Why wait? Why postpone? Why improve when you are who you are in the rightness of your soul, in the perfect, strange conditioning of the mystery of your own unique configuration of love, of freedom, and trauma? We're all children of this weird, demonic, radiant, godless God. Id. And right in there, when will you find that virtue of empowerment, right? Rad soul energy that says, you know, I'm going to be the maestro. I'm going to be the singer. I'm going to be the actor. I'm going to be the producer. I'm going to be the director, the one who choreographs my own danceless dance step. I cannot speak enough about coming out of the configuration of obedience, 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 obedience. Say no, and equally say yes, 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 yes. Yes to your uniqueness. Yes to the way in which you're living and dying. Yes to the way in which you cry. Yes to the way in which you sing. Yes to the way in which you bathe. Yes to the way in which you interact with impermanence, with your idea of permanence. Relax, touch and know, easy go, my love of freedom flows. Make your life a masterpiece. Cliche, no, 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 no. Take all those associations with Broadway and super successful mega artists. You are the masterpiece of your life, right? How I would see that in monasteries with nuns and monks, shaven heads with the same colored robes, all of them sitting in meditation, each of them anointing themselves. I am unique, the way that I look at my own being. I am mindful on the terms of my own integrity. I must liberate my mind based upon my own curiosity, my own wonderment, my own deep desire to study the machinations of my consciousness mind flow. No one can do this for me but me, by me alone. And you have to validate over and over and over again, nanoseconds of validation. Beauty in process. The beauty in process. Learning how to sing, learning how to walk, learning how to sit, even learning how to live in the face of dying. I refuse to grow old. I refuse to die. Take death out of the stream. This is a constant mantra of mine. I'm not diagnosed with a fatal illness. I'm not going to suffer. I might weep, I might cry, I might have to drink a whole ton of morphine, but fuck it. Quiver with freedom for the higher good. So a little bit of a rant today, a few things to come into the final couple of minutes. Risks are not about overcoming fear, for me at least, as much as they are imagining satisfaction. Risks are not about overcoming fear as much as, for me, about imagining the satisfaction of the dream, of the vision. If you're going to attach and grasp onto something, the conditioned reflex to stay contracted, stay narrow, stay obedient, that's a fear response to historical conditions. But to anoint to the beautification model, the bhavification model of consciousness, the beautification of mind, imagine the joys and the satisfaction of the risks that you're taking and the party that you're going to on the terms of your own integrity, your own determination. Bring a smile to the process of higher altitude actualization. Look forward to something despite the catastrophic prediction of death, and we're all baked into that. Defy the tyranny, defy totalitarianism. Keep a radical, rapturous smile beneath the tears, that sees that even when it's cloudy and rainy and stormy, it's still a radiant, eternal sky if you want to make it. Don't let anyone take your beauty, your purity, your freedom from you, certainly not from yourself as well. Believe in miracles, quality over longevity, allow others their own process, huge issue. There is no right way to live, so too there is no right way to die. Prioritize, take risks, ask yourself repeatedly, what really matters? Do I really need to see this person? Do I need to really go where I'm going? Stop, turn around, re-anoint, actualize. Stand in greater solidarity, your courage to be the person that you want. This is the time to really prioritize. I ask myself throughout the day, what really matters? It's not just one big answer. What really matters? And do I have the courage, the wherewithal to both ask myself and to ask others without postponement, do you want to participate in this dream that I'm asking for myself in this time in my life? Pull out all stops. Create the film that you want, Alan. Create the books that you want. Ask for support. Ask for donations. Come freely into my life to help support the visions that you feel that would make life and the future of life a better place. Prioritize is both immediate and heightened urgency. Not just me doing me, being mindful of me in the life stream of me as I anticipate suffering and death, but to create. There's something beautiful about the creation of things in form. I've never been so meticulously directed towards actualization right now. Bringing the God into the room isn't just about a feeling. It's about taking that feeling. My love of freedom flows into forms. My love of freedom flows into forms. What book are you writing? Have you finished it yet? Hold yourself accountable. What about that film? Have you finished it yet? Have you stepped into the third act yet? Hold yourself accountable. Sleep well. Rest well. Eat well. Bathe well, shower well, brush your hair and teeth well, put oil on your skin and creams on your faces so well that it radiates the innocence in you from the perception of aging and death. Make your life a masterpiece. You are choosing your life despite the conditions. That's Dhamma in essence. You are choosing your life despite the conditions of hardship, of jabs, of tyranny, of rogue nations, of dictatorship. This is what I so love about the political prisoner, is that they are choosing their vocation. They are so rad, and I've known a lot of them, and I know a lot of them right now who are, again, in prisons. They are so rad in their ferocity in choosing their state of conscience as vocation of integrity. I just love that about them. I never really knew the word conscience until I read the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. All beings are born equal in dignity and in conscience. What does that even mean, conscience? That deep soul essence, venerated and infused with politics and philosophy and morality and religion and spirituality, hopefully some intelligence that discerns right from wrong, skillfulness from unskillfulness, appropriateness from that which is inappropriate, knowing how to actualize, knowing how to restrain, knowing how to care for others equally, because freedom comes with a responsibility. Freedom alone isn't just my freedom, freedom because of freedom of other people. So I live my life in support of using my liberty to support the freedom of other people, as Aung San Suu Kyi has so encouraged the people of her country, the people of the world. Use our freedom to support the freedom of others. Take the pressure off your own personal dilemma. I'll close. Okay, I think I got it. One of the things about dying, as we're all there, not just me, one of the things about being diagnosed with a terminal condition, it's not just me, you too, is if in fact we all felt that we were going to lose each other, it'd be one endless, well, a weeping song. It'd be like the calamity. And there's a kind of, if you can go there, perverse satire. And if we all really reflected on death, and we were going through the early stages of learning to associate with it, it'd be like the whole world would start weeping, wouldn't it? And crying. Oh no, I'm going to lose you. I'm so attached to you. I'm not trying to make fun of these things, but there is something kind of sickly humorous about it. It's like, so this sense of keeping death so close to us is like sort of not too close. But at the same time, my point here is we must honor, right? I'm having to really honor, and it's not an easy thing for me, honor the complexity of emotions that other people feel for you because of their own love, their love of you. And it's such a poignant, beautiful, tragic, gifted, holy, satanic, edgy, artful, awkward quivering, if you know what I mean. To look at your husband today, look at your wife, look at your daughter, look at your son. She could be a month, she could be 10 years old, she could be on an IV, in a bed, in hospice at 70, 80, 90, 100. It could be you with empathy about the other people in the world right now who are dying. The 250,000 that will pass away virtually unnoticed today. And that's our family, that's our lover, that's our mother, our brother, our son, our teacher, our God. That's you, that's me. And there we are, oh my God, coming to terms with the edge of our own relationship with other in transition to the next destination. And what do you do there? What do you say? How do you encourage? How do you hold the dynamic of complexity when you know you won't see each other again? You won't touch again. You won't kiss again. You won't walk again. You won't make meals again. You won't sleep in the same home, in the same bed again. You'll have to look at pictures on walls. You'll have to look at cards that were sent and unsent. You'll have to look at albums and cry and weep and hold the page. Attachment is so real and natural. poignant, tragic, crazy. This word quivering and liberating freedom is so tempered with vulnerability for me personally. I don't know about you. My point here is that there's something in the sacred honoring of the awkward uniqueness of caring and loving and compassion and holding in solidarity with this transition of you lover, you friend, you brother, you father, you mother, you sister, you daughter, you angel, you I wish to meet, can't be held for long. Goodbye. I love you. I want to give you everything I could ever imagine giving you today. How could I, in good faith, ever worship a photograph of you when I have you in flesh, right? What do we hold back for? What is these instincts in us to contract from intimacy and the reverence of an unconditional love? Words, meaningless, without what? Embodied actions. Those people that came to the street in front of Daw Aung San Suu Kyi's house, that are in hiding house to house right now, a country undergoing genocide. The solidarity to quiver. Years ago, I come from a really big family. I was very close to my mother's, her sisters, my grandmother, my grandfather, my cousins, my aunts. It was tight. I remember when my oldest aunt passed away, Olga. She was the matriarch of the family, stayed single her whole life, the eldest of 7 daughters from her mother, my grandmother, on my mother's side, who came to this country from Syria and Lebanon. I think it was in 1917 or 1918 or 1919. As I'm told, in her wedding dress, and they moved to Boston where she lived, and she died in the same home. And Olga, the oldest child, the oldest aunt, the oldest of the 7 daughters, died. And my Aunt Evelyn was the next in the lineage. And we were all around the table at my grandmother's house, my aunt's house in Boston. And the family was there, a large group of people. And death was very perceptible. Sittu, my grandmother, had gone. Papa, my grandfather, had died. And Olga had now recently died. And the house was empty other than with Evelyn, who lived there with Olga and their parents, my grandparents. Evie was alone in this large home with the family coming to visit, to pay tribute to the family, to the loss, to the grieving. And Evelyn at the meal started to cry quite heavily. And it's very poignant. I know all of you can easily relate. I can't even imagine this if we felt this close as we do sisters and brothers and husbands and wives and children. If we felt this close to each other, and the word stranger was not even part of the vocabulary anymore, that everyone was felt to be as intimate as the most precious human being in your life. Your Jesus, your Mary Magdalene, your God, your mother, your lover, your husband. Can you imagine that level of sensitivity at such a core level of sacred emotionality? It's unthinkable to talk about oneness like that. To feel one person with such purity and depth and dimensionality, the way you feel about your daughter, to feel about that with 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 8 billion people, the cosmos. Biologically, how are we even constructed to feel that? And Evelyn's crying, and then she paused in her tears and said, Alan, you were a monk. You understand this. Help me understand this pain. And I explained to her and my family, in my humble way, as best as I could, that in the country of my spiritual life, Myanmar, Burma, the way I understood transition, discontinuity, death, and the honor of those who have passed, especially intimates, teachers, family, husbands, children, relatives, allies, friends. They bring them to the highest, most important sacred place in the home. They don't put everything away. They bring everything out. And it was quite startling for my family to see that grieving wasn't to get over it. Grieving was the quivering of the heart and the emergence of the sacred, a reversal, the beautification of consciousness, rather than the overcoming of shadow. And Evelyn began to sit upright. There was something touched in her conscience. And in brief, I explained further that they brought out beautiful pictures and placed flowers and anointed the sacred space with the person who had passed away. And I invited her to consider doing the same by building a shrine to Olga. And you could see that she smiled at a deep level of her heart. She took out the best chair. She bought a mannequin and dressed that mannequin in Olga's clothing. She was a smoker. She put her ashtray there. She would smoke and reflect on the qualities, as I encouraged her, reflect on the qualities of Olga that you admired and bring them into your own being. The way that you inhale a cigarette, oxygenate your lungs with the loyalty to these values, right? Isn't that what loss is about? Standing in solidarity to the qualities and not giving life to loss, but birth. Touch and know, easy go. My love of freedom flows into the loyalty of keeping the qualities of freedom alive. Liberate your freedom. Don't let fear take hold. And for me, as I think about this story in my own life and our own lives together here, it's sad to see the 9 people in my heart that have passed in the last 4 or 5 years. It's really, really hard for me to hold the pain of others who feel the pain of my own transition. I can't even imagine to be alive and imagine this happening to my daughter, to my dearest friends, to my family. I've watched it up close with my mom and my dad, my teachers, my best male friends. It's overwhelming, and yet it's natural. It's the condition of life. So poignant. So in my final comments today, in this 4th lesson, liberate your freedom. Don't let fear take hold. Touch and know, easy go, my love of freedom flows. Humanize the quivering from fear into freedom. Anoint, create sacred waves and energy patterns that release the quivering. Cry with grace. Bring God into your heart. Going to our knees is human, and how poignant it is that we're all in the same hospice together in the 6th mass extinction that we're underway today. The grief is natural for me, for you, for family, for the end of life as we know it. Cry, 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 and smile so fully that we learn to keep pushing against all odds the sky away. Create a masterpiece and to bring into the future the gifts of beauty and of unity and harmony. And don't forget to stand in solidarity, even with people you do not know, in this fight for freedom against totalitarianism and tyranny that our world and our homes, our states, our cities, our communities are undergoing right now. Refuse to participate in the obedience and the conformity of fear. So from my heart to yours, thank you for tuning in. Lesson in the learning 4, liberate your freedom. Use your liberty to support the freedom of others. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing the sky away, as Nick Cave says. And do not let freedom be anything other than the most attractive quality that oxygenates your conscience and your dignity. So from my heart to yours, thank you for tuning in. God willing, see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.